Welcome to Beyond the Break, a podcast where we dive deep into the stories behind today's entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers, and we uncover what it takes to build something that lasts. Let's get started. Beyond the Break.
Today I'm thrilled to share my conversation with Molly Hunt. She's the CEO of Ty Boyd. The firm does an amazing job working with people, helping them with professional training, presentation training, and coaching, helping them close more deals and strengthen their relationships with their current clients. Hope you enjoy our conversation with Molly. All right, you ready for this, Molly?
I am so ready.
All right, Molly Hunt, welcome to Beyond the Break. This is a podcast, and we're really looking forward to hear about you and your family business also, which is really interesting. But let's start with that. Let's hear a little bit about what you're doing now, and we'll get into a little bit of the history that led you to this path.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let's start with it's all I've ever known.
Okay.
But I also want to start with thank you for having me. I'm excited about this.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. Our family business the organization is called Ty Boyd, and it was founded by a guy named
Ty Boyd.
Ty Boyd.
All right.
And I'm lucky enough to be able to have called him father. And my mom, Pat Boyd, they started the company 46 years ago. And here's the coolest story that we've only just found out within the past 3 years.
Really? What is that?
Our home base is in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my father had been a motivational speaker and had traveled around the world. And it didn't matter where we were. He would always say, "Oh, I've spoken there. Oh, I've spoken there." And when I moved down here to Florida, he came to visit me one time and he said, "Oh, I've spoken here."
In Ponte Vedra.
In Ponte Vedra. We're in Charlotte, moving out of our main headquarters and just moving to another building within Charlotte. And as we were cleaning out our offices in Dilworth, we were going through all this paperwork. Well, we found the very first correspondence between my father and a guy named Tom Carpenter who worked with Aetna Life Insurance. And it's the conversation that started what has changed my life and has changed many thousands of people's lives, which is the Excellence in Speaking Institute.
Really?
The correspondence that we found, Chris, which blows me away, it says, "I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to speak at the Ponte Vedra Inn and Club."
Oh my gosh.
And then it was talking about how we can launch this program. So
started here then.
It started at the Ponte Vedra Inn and Club, which is mind-blowing for people that don't know. Born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, only moved here 13 years ago. And to find out that the company that I'm so lucky to be able to run at this point, it all started here, which is, to me, so it's wild, isn't it?
It's a beautiful story, the way it all comes and starts right here. So you're the CEO of Ty Boyd now.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So was your whole life focused on public speaking? Did you always know you wanted to be that in teaching others to be great? Okay, no.
No, as a matter of fact, like many people, I wanted to do anything but what my parents did.
Oh, okay. Great. It's a natural gravity though, right? That just happens.
Well, again, it's all I've ever known. And I'm so lucky. I always tell people my father is the nicest, kindest, most humble person I have ever met. Mm-hmm. And I'm the youngest of 6 kids.
Oh, my. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. And I think I saw him mad maybe 5 times my whole life.
Something.
3 of those were at football games.
Hey, you got to funnel your energy somewhere.
He's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he's just the nicest guy. And my mom, too. And I'll tell you that my mom, who has just recently passed away, all good, but just recently passed away, she was the business. If it weren't for my mom, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now.
Oh, really?
My dad would have done everything for free.
Oh, really?
He just loved helping people. And my mom said, "You know what? We're going to make a business out of this."
All right. No, you have to, right? And make it scalable as well.
Yes.
Sure.
But she saw the opportunity and she was the business mind in their relationship. And it was really special. But being that they were great at what they've always done, they were also kind enough to let me fail at what my dream was initially.
Okay.
So my dream initially when I was growing up was to be a professional golfer.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, they were just nice enough to let me fail over and over and over again. But during my path, I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and working at a television station while I was pursuing that golf career.
So you're doing mini tour events, some sort of
I was I wasn't even.
Semi-professional?
No,
Or
I
no?
was trying
Oh,
to figure it out on my own. This is
Okay.
where, again, my parents were they said, you do your thing. So
All
I
right.
thought I was on the right path and doing the right things. But I also needed a job that helped pay for my rent and everything. So I
Sure.
worked at a television station, which was just enough to give me that little dabble of where my path ended up leading. And while I was working at this television station, I called my folks one day and I just said, I am so homesick. I miss you guys. We're a very loving, dysfunctional family.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, geez. I was 24.
Oh, okay.
24. And I was living in Florida. I thought that was going to be where I wanted to be. And then I called my mom and I said, look, I really miss you guys. And she said, well, Molly, we're growing the business. Why don't you come back to Charlotte until you figure out what you want to do?
Oh, okay.
And so that meant come into the office and take out the garbage and do all the filing and get everybody's lunches.
All right, a little entry level. And what was the business at that time? What was Ty Boyd doing?
It was, we were doing the Excellence in Speaking Institute, which is
really?
It's our
Okay.
foundation course, which is something that we believe is so incredibly special because it takes people wherever they are, whether they're really comfortable in communicating with people or really uncomfortable. Wherever they are, we take them to the next level.
Yeah.
And so my father created this by design, this very intense program that's a 2.5-day program that is truly transformational. And
No, I agree. I went through it and it's amazing. In 2.5 days, the neat thing about it I found was I was in the room with people from other industries. I was in with like cattle ranchers, someone from the bread industry. I thought, and there was only one or two other investment people in the group, but the underlying skill we're all developing though is presentation skills and questions and answers. And I think you guys do a great job in evolving us through that process in 2.5 days. And presenting to everybody in the room, the 12 others, and then you're watching it on video. I mean, it's a very thorough process. So
it's intense.
Kudos to you and the team for building that.
Well, and you at Waycross, you get it.
Yes.
You know how important it is, regardless of what your industry is at the core. It's really about relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. You can train somebody on product knowledge or whatever the industry is, but at the core, it's how do you communicate that information? It's not just knowing it, it's how do you communicate it?
And, I think the one thing that's misleading is a lot of people think it's just for salespeople or CEOs. It's, engineers have to, within a division, present their results or present their thoughts to their bosses or to the executive level. Everybody in operations has to present their ideas to others. So, I view it like everybody in the world has to sell. So we're tying in sales and marketing and presentations, but it applies to everybody, don't you think?
Oh, there's no question. And I think the generation coming into the business world, because of our smartphones, because of all this FaceTime, I had an experience with an organization that had a young leadership program. It's a 3-year program where these kids were very well educated, had done all their work, and were really excelling at what they did. But when they came through our program in front of their peers, they would stand up and they couldn't look somebody in the eye, and they had a hard time even having a conversation. It broke my heart in some ways, but it also highlighted it's going to take very little for our kids to be able to stand out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If we learn how to do this and this, it is going to set us apart. Unfortunately, the bar is really low right now. But to your point, and I appreciate you making this point, this is for everybody.
Yeah.
We are communicating from the time we take our heads off of our pillows until we put our heads back on our pillows.
Sure. Yeah. To all people around us.
And you just said we're always selling.
Yeah.
Whether it's to a spouse, to a friend, to a colleague, to a business, to a client, we're always communicating. And why wouldn't we, if we know it's that important, why wouldn't we dedicate the time to getting better at it?
Yeah. You think of it now with AI just in its infancy. This is the one skill I hope that still will be human-based, at least physically human. We can't replicate that yet with AI, but that'll make it even more valuable, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. And look, it's here, and it's here to stay. And we've got to embrace it and use it to our advantage. I was working with an organization that is in the AI field, and it's a wonderful company. But one of the questions that was asked to me was, do you think AI is going to take over what you're talking about? And again, I said, absolutely not.
No.
I believe it's going to be great because it can help us. But as far as hurting, there is nothing, not a software program, not any AI that will ever take the place of human one-on-one connection.
Yeah. And you know what's misleading, I believe, is some people think they're just good natural presenters and others are not, So can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the people that were diamonds in the rough? Do you have some of those where you're a little on day one, they can't even introduce their name?
Yes.
And then how they come out the other side?
Yes. There are so many people that in this space where we're very comfortable with on day one, nobody wants to be there.
Yeah, because not everybody that is sent to you by their employer volunteered for this, right?
They're voluntold.
Okay.
A lot of times.
Right. So a lot of them are reluctantly in this training.
Yes.
So how does that go for them over the 2.5 days?
Well, it's one of those, and some people choose to be there, but
Sure.
Still it's a reluctant, you're vulnerable. You're with people that you don't know if you really want to try and stretch and grow with these individuals, which is why, it's such a great team building,
Yes.
whether you're with a bunch of strangers or with your team. This is the opportunity that we see is when somebody is, whether they're volunteering or voluntold, to come into that space, the moment that they get started, it then they start to exhale a little bit.
Sure.
And so we always say day one, it's intense, but day one is much of building the foundation. And then on day two, it's where we see the transformations take place. We've seen that with some of Waycross in the past, which has been really, really fun to watch. And you can speak from experience.
No, I went through it myself. Yeah.
Yes.
And I've done hundreds or thousands of speeches.
Yeah.
But I still found it eye-opening, and I'm still trying to get better.
Yeah.
Like literally last night I sent you a video of a presentation that I just did recently, and I was still critiquing certain items like, why am I moving side to side? What am I doing with my hands? There's it's like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands?
That comes up all the time.
Yeah. So, I'm always trying to get better at it. But, have you had some people where it's really impacted their lives or anything along those lines?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about it being a 2.5 day course. This is just our signature course. We have other things that we offer, but in the signature course, by design, the foundation is built on day one, and you really have to rest and digest on it.
Yeah.
So you really have to process this through sleep. So the next day, people come in a bit with their eyes wide open, and then they'll lean into the process a bit more, and they start to see the transformation. And you just said something. You said, I was critiquing myself.
Yeah.
I was critiquing myself. Everybody has this critiquer on their shoulder, but what we do in our program is get rid of that person and create a coach.
Okay.
So critiquing is we believe it has a negative
Sure.
connotation, but a coach wants to see you succeed. So where you might see everything as that's bad. No, this is an opportunity. Here's where I can work on my game and get better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, one of the things we just went through last week, a review of a presentation, and it's tough. It's tough for your peers to coach each other, let's say on the positive. But I think the more that your culture gets in that mindset, the easier it is to have someone else say, hey, next time when you do your intro, start this way. Because if we all get used to that, it's not finger pointing or it's not a negative, right?
It's because you want to get better.
Yes.
Especially if you're on the same team. Why wouldn't you want to help everybody get better?
Sure. What do you recommend as far as teams, as far as preparation and after meeting? And this can go for a meeting too, not just a board meeting or a finals presentation.
Well, you know me well enough to know that I'm all about sweating in advance.
Okay.
So all of the things that we do, a lot of what keeps us full of angst and what keeps us up at night before our presentation is the what ifs. It's what does the room look like? It's are they going to think I'm the right person for the job? All of those what ifs that happen at night. If you've done all the sweating in advance, and we give you the tools and the techniques to work on that. If you do all that sweating in advance, when you get there, it's not going on autopilot, but you can really have that muscle memory, much like a sport.
Yes. No, that's what I was thinking. So much of this is sports relatable. I mean, or sports relate to real life.
Yeah.
In that preparation.
And when I talk about golf, when you're playing golf, when you're with your buddies, you're usually playing with 3 other people, but you're really playing against yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to work on your handicap and lowering your handicap. But you're playing with 3 other people. I always tell people, once you've gone through our program, once you have the tools and the techniques, those things that you're taking away, what are you tweaking in your game with every presentation, with every interaction? It could be something as simple as just using your eyes.
Yeah.
It could be something like, how do we do our gestures? Whatever it is, make those small tweaks. And then once you master that one, you watch what happens in your career. You watch the way things happen when you engage with people. Just things start to open up.
Sure.
But there is no substitution for the practice.
Yeah. And what would you recommend, just back of the envelope, if someone has to speak for 5 minutes? Should they script it all out? What should they write out word for word? Because I've found when you have too many words to memorize, then you get tied up in that. So what's the best practice for approaching a speech of that length?
You just hit it. You said, if I write all of this out, then I'm tied to it.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of memorizing. I'm really, it owns you at that point.
Yep.
Now I am into practice. So you find what works best for you. For me personally, what works is I will write everything out. Then I will boil it down to about 4 note cards, depending on how long it is. But it's just bullet points that jog my memory to what I want to say next. But the more I practice it, and I mean not just practicing it in my head, I mean standing up, doing it exactly as I would do it for that presentation, so that when I get to that presentation, if I'm doing something, I'll remember that conversational tone. I'll remember what my hands were doing. Everything comes together. It's choreographed in a way.
Yeah. So basically, when you've written it out the first time, I view it as now that's sticking in my brain.
Yeah.
And then now I'm getting rid of the words, but I still, like you said, with the bullet points, you're still have that anchor of, all right, I'm not going to miss this point. And I know that bullet point has a little bit of a story to it, right? So you can expand on it. So that helps quite a bit.
You just mentioned 2 things. My father, who had been in radio and television since he was 15 years old, and when he passed away, he was 88 years old. And he said, you know what, there's maybe a day or 2 where you feel like you're off your game. And what he would tell us is, you know what, your customers and your clients don't care.
Yeah.
And you need to have your A game ready every single time.
Yeah.
That practice really sticks with us. That is really important. But when you have everything written out, he would do something so cool. He might be on a stage and he would always wear a jacket and he'd put a note card in his pocket. And if he had gotten to a place where maybe he forgot what he was wanting to say, or he just wanted to make sure he was staying on topic, he would just pause, pull it out, take a look at it, put it back in, and it didn't lessen his credibility.
All right. Yeah.
But he didn't make it his audience either.
So it was a crutch just in case.
Well, he would do a 3-hour talk. So I give him a little break. But here's the other cool thing that he would do is if he had gotten through his presentation, but he knew in the middle of it that he had forgotten something, at the very end he would say, and one more thing. As though that was the secret sauce.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's people often think if they get tripped up or if something goes awry, it's not if, it's when.
Yes. Yeah.
Something is going to go wrong in this interaction where it happens all the time. But our advice is how you move through it is how your audience will move through it.
Sure.
So if you want to get all bundled up and uptight about it, then everybody else is too.
Yeah.
But just moving through it, and likely nobody's going to even recognize it. You're the only one that knows what you wanted to say.
No, I remember that vividly. Like the audience doesn't know what you skipped over.
Right.
And you can kick yourself later as long as you make those points. What about tips and tricks for Q&A?
No, I love it when people say, "Oh man, I love Q&A because I can just kick back and then we can have a conversation about it." We believe that's a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We need to practice Q&A just like we practice everything else.
So the team should prep with Q&A. That's what you're...
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
How often are your customers or your clients really looking at you as the team and how you interact in these engagements?
Yes.
Are you tripping over somebody else's words? Are you interrupting somebody? They're looking at all the components to the Q&A, not just answering the question.
Sure. Now, one thing we're doing internally right now is we're building a bank of questions. So I've said to everybody, let's everybody put together, 5 or so questions that are tough ones that you've heard recently. And then we'll review them through every Monday morning. We'll review 2 or 3 at a time so that we all have to have the same answer as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, as a company,
yes,
you got to make sure everybody's is speaking the same answers as well.
There's no question. We work with a particular client that we've worked with for many, many years, but one of the things that they do is they practice as a team the Q&A, and they know who's going to take what question.
Yes.
They know how you're going to open and close it. We give some very specific ways on how you open it, how you close it, and then how you engage with everybody during that Q&A. But they put so much emphasis on the practice that if you don't show up for the rehearsal of the presentation, you don't show up to the meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And because of that discipline, just like what you're doing with Waycross, because you're putting that discipline in place, you're going to be more comfortable within the structure of how you're doing it. There's the freedom within that structure.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Because, a lot of times the presentations, let's just say, are generally 2 people. So if you get a question from the board, it goes a lot smoother if when that question comes out, I'm going to answer it or you're going to answer it, and without looking at each other and without the awkward silence. So, but all that comes from the prep.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's a question about fees, you know who's going to answer it. If there's a question about the firm, you know who's going to answer it. About the process, right? Like if you do all that in advance, it just comes off so much more professionally as well.
And it shows you care about them too.
Yeah.
You take it, it matters. And if it matters, why aren't we doing this in advance?
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing this in advance?
What about if someone answers and then the other co-presenter piles on top? Like, what's your advice about that?
Look at them and go, eh.
Okay.
No. Well, again,
because that can get off the rails quickly. Because you're like, Molly said this, but I also want to add that. How delicate is that part of the Q&A?
Again, I believe in the prep.
Yeah.
We have that conversation. Hey, even if I miss something, don't interrupt me at this point. Mm-hmm. But when we get to the close, you might, if there's an additional way to bring it up, we can bring it up then.
Yeah.
It needs to be in the prep so that when you're in the game, that you don't do it.
Sure. So preparation seems like a big deal.
I am such a stickler. It's the number one skill is communication. The number one skill, but so often people fall back on we procrastinate. Mm-hmm. Now I got too much work to do. I can't make time for this.
Yeah.
Well, how much is a deal worth?
A lot. And
then why don't we make it a priority?
Oh yeah.
It
has to be part of the culture, the thinking.
Absolutely.
And people realizing you all have to get better at it, right?
That goes back to my mother. I'm like the Progressive commercials. Uh-huh. I quote my parents all the time these days. But my mom would always say, Pat Boyd, is that the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. Really? I love that. Nobody has arrived. Nobody is perfect. And experts know that there's room to improve, which is what you're so good at building this culture with Waycross and not just talking about what we need to do, but you do it as well. Mm-hmm. That's being a good leader and going through the trenches and then making it part of what your culture is all about. And so it's an open door policy. It's, I want to see you get better. It's how can we do this together? It's not an us, them. It's a we. Yes. Yeah. Now, thank you, by the way. And it's something that luckily we have some good people at our firm who believe in this as mm-hmm. well. And that's something where I think we're better than most. And I see we get to hear other presenters and sometimes I cringe thinking, what are they thinking here? A lot of what we do is also talk about the client. So do you delve into that world of connecting with
the buyer or the audience?
Very much so. And I appreciate that you're asking that, because oftentimes, so I love storytelling. I think that's a great way to have a point, but then really create what we call the sticky. And we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
What is it that people are going to remember after you've left that meeting? You've got, if you're talking to a board, they're going to have other people coming in talking the same stuff. And it's easy to be forgetful or forgettable. And if you're creating that sticky, it's going to be, oh, I remember Chris. I remember Waycross. I remember how they told that story about, that means they get us.
Sure.
So in the storytelling component, a little bit of a secret sauce is oftentimes if you're trying to sell somebody, we come in as, you need our product, you need our services. If you want to be great, you need to work with us. And that is the wrong approach. So we often come in as the hero who's going to save the day, but it's really the opposite. Your customer or your client is the hero to the story.
Really? So
100%.
How do you convey that?
If I'm taking a manufacturing company and I know that their goals are such, that means I've got to do some homework and see what's their culture like. What do they want? What is important to them?
Sure.
I mean, that's a simple equation. What's important to them? So I can come in and simply tell the story, whether it's telling their company story or something that is similar, and then helping them to see that I'm just a guide to where they want to go. I'm not the hero.
Yeah.
They're the hero. I'm just the guide that's going to help them realize their objectives.
Sure. And a lot, in our business, we manage money for pension funds, a lot of times for police, fire, or city employees. And that's what we have to all remember. It's for the person who's going to retire. It's the pension board decides, but the end beneficiary is who we work for to help them retire with dignity. And the more we can talk about it, I think people understand that we're connected to that. And that's one thing we try to convey in our industry is we know who we work for. It's that retired person at home, and hopefully helping them, retire with dignity. And that's an important, burden, I think, for us. Because we can get tied up in just trying to beat the market and pick stocks or sell stocks day to day, but you got to remember what it's for.
And you're not hopefully going to help them. You will.
Yes.
And I know your heart, and I know the Waycross, I know this organization. You are all heart, and I know that that's what sets you apart.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There's no question.
A lot of what we get to do is get to meet with the clients over time. So it becomes natural that you genuinely want to help these people. And, overall, as far as in a presentation book, what do you recommend about slides? As far as how much data, all that.
This is a whole nother conversation.
Because there's books a lot of times to a presentation or even to an internal meeting,
Sure. With slides, everything is situational. But I just believe with slides, it's such a crutch. It is often the distraction versus the aid, which it's meant to be. Simple is better. If you have a bar graph that has January through December and you're only talking about Q4, well, don't have the whole bar graph up there. Simplify it, cut it out, and make it its own slide. Think outside of the box, because what you're doing is what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. And
we believe that if your client, your customer doesn't get your slide within 5 seconds or less, you need to redo it.
Okay. No, that's huge. Because I've been in rooms where people say, oh, you can't see it on the slide, or, the font is, you got to think of that. It's got to be identifiable, like you said, in 5 seconds.
I worked with somebody, she said, oh yeah, we only have 2 slides. Oh my goodness. It had so much, but you know what everybody's doing. And if our job as communicators is, what I say is to create an HD type of experience, when you put up a slide that has 100 different things on it, you know what your audience is doing. They're reading everything else.
Yeah.
So they can't stay with you.
They're not even listening to you. Yes.
No. And it's our obligation to have our audience follow the way we would like them to follow.
Sure. Now, I think that's a good point, is to think of every word on that page. They can't read and listen, right? You really can't.
Nope.
We can't as humans do that well at all. So you're either reading all these words or you're listening to the presenter. And the goal of the presentation is the human being in the room.
Yep.
So are there times where do you get to review materials sometimes for your clients as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I love doing that. Well, and it's interesting. We customize so much. So when we work with a client, we find out what their needs are first, and then we structure a package deal type of thing that works specifically for them. But to look at videos after, especially if they've been through our program, so they know what we're talking about, they're on the same page with us, and we can use the same vernacular. That is where it's almost like when I'm playing golf and I still have a pro that I work with. When he tells me, his name is Zach. When I work with Zach, he's telling me what to do, and then he records it on his phone.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just him telling me, then I'll do my swing and he'll show me.
Yeah.
So we love videoing because it's such a great coaching tool.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I'm just hearing what he's saying, I'm watching what he's saying. And I love looking at people's videos so that we can break down those videos and really just take one step at a time. And when it comes to working together as a team, we love coming into organizations and working with the team so that, again, everybody's speaking the same language. We know who's taking what. It's a really great opportunity to feel really uncomfortable in those moments, but then getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Sure. No. Let's get back to the important point of hands. What should we be doing with our hands? So you're standing up in front of a room.
Yeah.
I'm Italian, so my hands are flying a lot, so I got to rein them in. What would you recommend? What's best practices?
It's funny how we act as though they're brand new to us when we give a presentation, that they've not been attached to our bodies. One of the things that my dad would say is, if you just forget about them, they'll figure it out.
Uh-huh.
And I think we start thinking, oh, what is happening here? And it just becomes so awkward. Again, in the practice, in the prep, your brain remembers what it was doing. There's a client that we work with, and she's head of sales and training, and she's a British woman, and she's an absolute pistol. She's super, super smart. Love working with her. We were on a phone call one time. She was in China. I'm here in Florida. Another colleague, and we were developing a storytelling course for her. And here's what she said. Molly, all I want is for people to act like they're having a beer together.
Oh, nice accent.
And move in the grey matter. And in that moment, we all had this light bulb moment, is that when we get up to present, we act like somebody else. So
That's
if we were
point, yeah.
Yeah, we think that we have to be somebody else, but if we were having that same conversation over a cup of coffee or sitting here or having a beer together, whatever it is, how would it come out differently? And the truth is, it would come out much more conversationally.
Yes, that's the goal, is to have it conversational, telling a story. Think that beer analogy is perfect, because if you're out somewhere socially, you're not stressed. You're still getting your ideas across.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful way to summarize it.
And you're not thinking, where are my hands? What should I point at this? You're not thinking about that. So when your question was, what do we do with our hands? We have specific home bases that we believe are really good home bases. They're really good places to start and finish.
Okay.
But oftentimes people just tend to stay right here. And you just said, I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands. I do all the things. Well, when somebody says that they talk with their hands a lot, what we believe a lot of times it's just you're not pausing.
I was going to ask you, it's so funny. I was just going to ask you about pausing next, because that is so powerful, is the pause.
Well, you're really good at it.
Really? I feel like I speak too quickly. So.
Well, I believe you coach yourself a lot. But when we pause, have you ever seen somebody who uses their hands a lot and then they pause? They would never keep using their gestures.
Yes.
So when you pause, your gestures will pause.
That's great. And a pause is half a second, right? I mean, it's very powerful.
A lot of times it feels really big to us, but it's really very short. And think of it as an opportunity, because it's loud, it's uncomfortable for us, But if we have, say, 3 to 5 points with somebody, with a client, a customer, you have those 3 to 5 main points. You've seen this picture really clearly for a long time, but they're hearing it for the first time.
Yep.
So once you've created that picture with your first point, pause in between those transitions to give them that time to process the picture that you have just created in their mind. And then you can go to that next place. And by the way, a lot of times people think if I pause, I might lose my train of thought. Well, not if you practice.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Even still, it helps you to think, what do I want to say next? How can I course correct because I recognize my coach is working and I recognize I'm doing something I don't want to do? In that pause, you can course correct and then keep moving forward.
Yeah. And you know what I find is when you watch someone presenting pause, the heads in the room peek up. They're like, what just happened? Yeah. And it's just that half second or second is enough to get their attention. You've drawn them in with that pause. I love that. I think that's very powerful.
When you do that in your audiences, it's funny because we've all been in those situations where you look out and you see that the heads might be down. We call it doing the corporate prayer, where people are on their phones and they act like nobody can see.
Yeah, now at the phone, it's horrible.
Oh,
it really is.
But that pause can be an attention getter.
Yes.
But you can also do it in the creativity that you use within your presentation. Again, some people will say, well, what I'm talking about? I'm talking about money. Nobody's going to get excited about that. Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do.
Sure.
It's an emotional connection. But if you think it's dry, you've got opportunities to create that sticky through the storytelling, through being different. We're in this box, and a lot of times people just want to stick to that box because it's safer. But what's going to set you apart is stepping outside of that box and being unique and different so that you are memorable after the experience.
And the balance to that is being professional, though.
Yeah.
Most of us have to have an air of professionalism.
Yes.
There's certain industries where you could be a little bit more entertaining. But for the most part, we have to have a balance of professional and interesting, which is tough to do. But you mentioned earlier storytelling, any other ways to make it interesting?
Oh, it's infinite.
Yeah.
It's infinite. And what you're really good at is the relational aspect of who you are. You know your stuff, but you also know how to connect it by make it engaging with the audience. It's not just I'm going to spit this information out. It's you create this engagement. So I'd ask you, how do you engage?
What I try to do is put information out there or almost ask a rhetorical question to get the person thinking in their head a little bit more. And also tie things back to the audience is what we've seen about your plan, what we heard at your last few board meetings is important to you. And that just gets people thinking, wow, they've done some research on us, because sometimes in our industry, some people just present about themselves and it's clear as day that they're not connecting with the audience versus if I'm talking about you, what I think you might need and why we might be a good fit. I think that's what's drawing people to us.
May I give you 2 little secret sauces?
Please.
That if whoever's watching, these are 2 wonderful things that my father taught me. And one of them was this moment that I wasn't anticipating, but I was speaking to a very large group of people and I had a lot of time to prepare, but I was still really nervous. I was really nervous. And it just so happened that my parents were in the audience. And before I was getting up to speak, I walked over to the masters and I looked at my dad and I said, so Dad, do you have any words of wisdom, any pearls you can give to me? And Chris, I don't know what I was thinking in that moment. He waited my whole life for this very moment.
He's been holding back.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was not expecting what he said. And what he said, first he paused with what felt like forever.
All right.
And he just said, Molly, this isn't about you. And I said, excuse me, this feels very much about me.
Yeah.
But he said, this isn't about you. And in that moment, I wanted to crawl under the table and throw up. But I also had this epiphany, and he was so right. We put so much focus on ourselves. We put so much focus on ourselves that we forget It's not about us. We forget to put the focus where it needs to be, and it's with our customers and with our clients. And when you're in those situations where you see somebody who's very I, me, my, and this is our product and this is what we do, they're missing the boat. It's not about them. It is about the client, and it goes back to the relationships. And my father knew that so well. But when we get into those places, if you can put the spotlight where it needs to be, then you're not thinking about giving a presentation. You're actually thinking about having the conversation.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to think of it. That's for sure.
So that was number one. Number two, and I say this, we have to use the word I a lot. But there's a ratio. For every time we use the word I, we need to use the word you 4 times.
Wow.
I, you 4 times. So if you say I, you use you 4 times. The reason we do that is because, again, people would much rather you talk about them than to hear you talk about yourself. But anywhere, any opportunity you have to make it an us and a we, doing that is really, really important.
That's beautiful.
It's just really that word.
Yep.
Making a we and an us or a you more than I.
Yeah, and it creates, because there's a cold connection in a room. You're distant physically from them. You're presenting to them.
Yeah.
So now you've just drawn them in that much better. So I love that, Molly. These are great pearls of wisdom. And again, I think you've helped me personally in my career and my company. And I just see, when we go to the workshops, the people that you've impacted is amazing. So
thank you.
Keep up the good work. And thanks for coming on Beyond the Break. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris. I've enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Break. If this conversation brought you value, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. We've got more real stories, sharp insights, and powerful turning points coming your way. See you next time.